Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh great, another video about laws. Can't I just go back to watching cats inexplicably falling off furniture? And the answer is, of course you can. But then you might wake up one day to find your toaster is demanding a union-mandated break, and you'll have no one to blame but yourself. Because whether we like it or not, the quiet hum of legislative machinery is the background music to our lives. And every so often, that hum turns into a full-blown rock opera of changes that can affect everything from your paycheck to your privacy. So let's dive into the legislative whirlwind, shall we? Here are 5 important new laws taking effect across the USA on July 1st, 2025. And yes, I know July 1st is usually associated with things like nursing a Canada Day hangover or realizing you're halfway through the year and haven't accomplished any of your resolutions. But this year, it's also the day a raft of new federal rules kicks in. And trust me, some of these are going to land with the subtlety of a rhinoceros performing ballet in your living room. These aren't just abstract legal theories debated by people in powdered wigs, or, their modern equivalent, people who unironically wear fleece vests over their dress shirts. These changes will directly impact your wallet, your job, your family, and even what happens when you mindlessly click, "I agree" on a website at 3 a.m. So grab a beverage, get comfortable, and let's unpack what's coming, because being informed is your best defense against being caught completely off guard. Right, first up, the Digital Privacy Act. For years, our personal data has been treated like an all-you-can-eat buffet for tech companies. They've been happily piling their plates high with our search histories, our locations, and our inexplicable late-night purchases, all while we just sort of smile and nod. We've essentially been trading our entire digital soul for the ability to see what our high school acquaintances named their babies. This new law, however, is trying to put a few bouncers at the door of that buffet. It aims to give you, the actual user, a semblance of control over your own digital footprint, which is a concept so novel it's almost shocking. The core of this act is transparency and consent. Companies will now be legally required to tell you in plain, simple English, not in 47 pages of legalese that reads like a cursed spell, exactly what data they are collecting and why. More importantly, they will need your explicit, opt-in consent to collect and use non-essential data. That means no more pre-checked boxes buried in the settings menu. You will have the right to access the data a company holds on you, the right to demand they delete it, and the right to tell them to stop selling it to third-party data brokers, those shadowy figures who probably know more about you than your own mother. So what does this mean for you, practically? It means you're about to see a lot more pop-ups asking for your permission, which might feel annoying at first, but each one is a small victory. It's a chance to say, "No, social media app, you absolutely do not need access to my microphone 24/7. This law fundamentally shifts the power dynamic. It won't solve every privacy issue overnight, let's not get carried away. But it's a monumental step away from a system where we were the product, towards one where we are, at the very least, a slightly more respected customer. Next on our legislative tour is a topic that's been debated with the ferocity of a medieval joust for decades: the federal minimum wage. After years of being stuck at a number that would make even a piggy bank weep, Congress has finally passed the national minimum wage increase. As of July 1st, the new federal floor will be set at $15 per hour. For millions of workers across the country, this isn't just a raise, it's a seismic shift. It's the difference between choosing to pay rent or buy groceries, and maybe, just maybe, being able to do both in the same month. A truly wild concept. Now, this change will be felt most profoundly in states where the minimum wage has languished at the old federal level of $7.25, a rate at which you'd have to work for nearly 3 hours just to afford a movie ticket, and that's without popcorn. For a full-time worker, this increase translates to a significant boost in annual income. The goal here is simple: to create a living wage, an income that allows a person to cover their basic needs without relying on public assistance or working 3 separate jobs, which frankly should not be a prerequisite for survival in a developed nation. Of course, the debate around this is hotter than a ghost pepper in a sauna. Business groups have raised concerns about the potential for increased labor costs, leading to price hikes or, in a worst-case scenario, layoffs. The argument is that small businesses, in particular, might struggle to absorb the additional expense. The law does include some tax credits and a phased-in approach for very small businesses to help soften the blow. But the fundamental question remains: how do we value labor in our economy? This law firmly plants a flag on the side of believing that a full day's work deserves a wage you can actually live on. All right, let's move from your wallet to the very air we breathe with the Clean Energy Transition Act. This is a big one. For a long time, transitioning to renewable energy has been something we've talked about a lot, like starting a diet or cleaning out the garage. We know we should do it, but we just never quite get around to it. Well, this law is the equivalent of your doctor, your spouse, and your angry, wheezing planet all standing over you and saying, "The time for talking is over. Put down the fossil fuels and pick up a solar panel." Now, this act sets aggressive, legally binding targets for reducing carbon emissions, and its main target is big business. It mandates that large corporations, we're talking about the big players in manufacturing, energy, and transportation, must derive a specific, increasing percentage of their energy from renewable sources like wind, solar, and geothermal. The timeline is ambitious, requiring a significant shift within the next decade. Essentially, the government is telling these companies that the era of treating the atmosphere like a free, unlimited garbage dump is officially coming to an end. It's a massive top-down push to rewire our industrial infrastructure. The impact will be twofold. Environmentally, the goal is obvious: cleaner air, a slower rate of climate change, and a reduction in our national carbon footprint. The hope is that by forcing the biggest polluters to change their ways, we can make a genuine dent in the climate crisis. Economically, it's designed to turbocharge the green energy sector, creating jobs in manufacturing solar panels, building wind turbines, and developing new energy storage technologies. Of course, there will be pushback. Critics argue this will raise energy costs and put American companies at a disadvantage. But the law's proponents argue that the cost of inaction is infinitely higher. And now for a topic that causes a Pavlovian stress reaction in an entire generation's student loans. The sheer scale of student debt in this country is staggering. It's like a financial black hole, sucking in dreams, aspirations, and the ability to ever buy a house. For years, the system has been a labyrinth of confusing repayment plans, predatory interest rates, and forgiveness programs that were seemingly designed by MC Escher. The new Student Loan Reform Bill is an attempt to shine a flashlight into that labyrinth and hopefully draw a few clear exit signs. The centerpiece of this reform is a new, simplified, income-driven repayment plan. It caps monthly payments for undergraduate loans at a much lower percentage of a borrower's discretionary income, the money left over after essentials like housing and food. Crucially, it also addresses the nightmare of ballooning interest. Under this new plan, if your monthly payment doesn't cover the interest, the remaining interest will be forgiven, meaning your loan balance won't grow as long as you're making your payments. This is huge. It stops the cruel treadmill where borrowers pay for years only to find they owe more than they started with. Furthermore, the bill overhauls the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, making it easier for teachers, nurses, firefighters, and others in public service to actually get the forgiveness they were promised after 10 years of service. It clarifies what counts as a qualifying payment and creates a simpler application process. While this bill won't magically erase all student debt overnight, it's not a winning lottery ticket. It is a fundamental restructuring of the system. It's a recognition that education shouldn't be a life sentence of debt, and it offers a more manageable and, dare I say, hopeful path forward for millions of borrowers. Finally, we come to a policy that the United States has been embarrassingly behind on for decades: universal paid family leave. For too long, having a child, caring for a gravely ill parent, or recovering from a major surgery has been a luxury only some could afford. Many Americans have had to face an impossible choice: care for their loved ones or keep their job and their income. This new law aims to end that cruel dilemma by establishing a national paid family and medical leave program, putting us in line with literally every other developed nation on Earth. Yes, really, it's about time. The policy will provide eligible workers with up to 12 weeks of partial wage replacement for specific, significant life events. This includes the birth or adoption of a new child, allowing parents crucial bonding time without facing financial ruin. It also covers caring for a spouse, child, or parent with a serious health condition. And importantly, it covers an employee's own serious health condition. This isn't just a vacation, it's a safety net, ensuring that a medical crisis doesn't automatically trigger a financial one. So who qualifies? The program will cover most public and private sector employees who have worked a certain number of hours in the preceding year. It will be funded through a modest payroll tax, a small contribution from both employees and employers, creating a social insurance fund that we can all draw from when we need it most. This is a profound cultural shift. It acknowledges that workers are also parents, children, and human beings who get sick. It's a policy built on the radical idea that you shouldn't have to be fired for having a baby or caring for your dying father. Welcome to the 21st century, America. It's nice to finally have you. So there you have it. 5 new laws that are about to reshape pieces of our everyday reality, from the way you interact with the internet, to the amount of money in your paycheck, to the very structure of our energy grid and the social safety net. It's a lot to take in, I know. It can feel overwhelming, like trying to assemble IKEA furniture in the dark. But ignoring it is not an option, because these rules will apply to you whether you understand them or not. And knowing your rights and responsibilities is the first step toward navigating this new landscape successfully. The key takeaway here isn't just the specifics of each bill, but the broader point that the law is not a static, ancient text. It's a living, breathing thing that changes, and those changes have real-world consequences. I strongly encourage you to do your own research. Look up how your specific state is implementing these federal mandates, talk to your employer about the new leave policies, and check your privacy settings on July 1st. Your active engagement is what turns a law from words on a page into a meaningful part of our social contract. This is exactly the kind of thing we'll keep tracking here on the channel, breaking down the jargon and getting to the heart of what matters to you. We'll be watching to see how these laws are rolled out, who they're helping, and where they might be falling short. For more updates on important changes, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Stay informed.